Fellas, there are some times when I look at two different fighters and I really question how would they match up if they were to fight each other at different times. Maybe it's from a couple of years ago when a fighter was in their prime, whatever it may be. We're going to be looking at UFC fantasy matchups from different eras. So you put two fighters together from different time periods and kind of magically put them together. How would it end up? And yeah, we're going to be taking a look at this, a few examples of this. If you agree with these, please let me know. Or if I missed any matchups out that you think is credible enough, please let me know. But we're going to go straight in there with 2023 Volkanovski versus 2015 McGregor. This would have been insane because Volkanovski, in my opinion, is the greatest featherweight of all time. You can argue Jose Aldo, but for me, it's got to be Volkanovski as the greatest featherweight of all time right now. His streak at featherweight was absolutely at featherweight is absolutely I can't speak. Absolutely unbelievable. He's got Holloway on his resume 3 times, and look where Holloway's at now. He's got Yair Rodriguez, Korean Zombie, Brian Ortega. He's about to fight Ilia Topuria. He's already beaten Jose Aldo before. So Volkanovski's pretty much unstoppable at featherweight. But another person who was unstoppable at featherweight is 2015 McGregor. McGregor in 2015, around that era, no one was beating him. Nobody was beating McGregor in that era. He was starching people that he should not have beaten Jose Aldo, and he knocked him out in 13 seconds. Before that, he'd fought Chad Mendes, and I think McGregor versus Chad Mendes would be quite similar to McGregor versus Volkanovski, because I don't think McGregor just starches Volkanovski. Maybe he does, but it would be a case. That's kind of the whole narrative of the fight. Would McGregor just starch Volkanovski immediately, or would Volkanovski batter him within 5 rounds? I don't know. But McGregor has fought so many people by this point. He would have fought Poirier, Chad Mendes, Jose Aldo, and obviously Holloway. And the thing is, Volkanovski's fought pretty much every style. He's faced kickers like Yair Rodriguez, boxers like Max Holloway, grapplers like Islam and Brian Ortega, but he's never really faced someone like McGregor. I think McGregor in his prime would have been a very dangerous matchup, and this is a fight that I just really want to see, man. Prime McGregor starching everybody before he made his move to lightweight, and Volkanovski right now, I really want to know, would McGregor have starched him or would Volkanovski have battered him? Because it's literally the prime versus prime, the greatest featherweight of all time versus one of the greatest featherweight runs in the featherweight history. So I'd love to see this matchup, Volkanovski versus McGregor. I just really want to see it, man. I know we're never going to see it because McGregor's like a middleweight now and he's nowhere near his prime, but this fight, 2015 McGregor versus 2023 Volkanovski, I would have loved to see this fight. But anyway, next up we have 2021 Usman versus 2013 GSP. I'm saying 2021 Usman because this was when Usman was, in my opinion, in his prime for me. Kamaru Usman was in his prime in 2021 for me. He hadn't lost to Leon Edwards by this time. He hadn't really slowed down. I think this was peak Kamaru Usman. And in my opinion, I already made a video about this months ago of why I think Kamaru Usman could potentially beat GSP. But this would have been insane. It's kind of like the second greatest welterweight of all time versus the greatest welterweight of all time. Yeah, I'm going to go 2021 Usman. At this point, he'd already beaten Covington twice. He starched Masvidal out cold, and he'd already beat Masvidal before. He absolutely battered Gilbert Burns. This was the peak of Usman's career. He'd already battered Tyron Woodley. And I think this would have been the peak of his career. Because GSP, I think this was the peak of his career. And GSP, I think Usman could have been stylistically difficult for him. And I say GSP because GSP is the greatest welterweight of all time. I wouldn't know. 2013 GSP. Now, GSP doesn't exactly, in my opinion, have like a pinpoint peak or pinpoint prime. It's kind of been through a series of years. But I'm going to go 2013 GSP before he left the sport and then came back to fight Bisping. But I really want to know how this match would have turned out because I think Usman could have genuinely given some problems to GSP in his prime. Current Usman, I think it'd just be too much of a target kind of thing for GSP. Target his knees. His chin's already been tested. His takedown defense has already been displayed. But 2021 Usman versus 2013 GSP, it would have been good. And I think it actually would have been close. I don't think GSP would have just wiped him out the window. I actually think this would be somewhat close. I think Usman's stylistically very difficult for GSP. So I'm going to go with Kamaru Usman versus GSP, 2021 versus 2013. And yeah, I think this would have been a great matchup. The best welterweights fighting each other. And yeah, I want to see if GSP could have survived Usman, because Usman was a danger in this time before he started slowing down and getting knocked out and hurting his knees. Well, he's always had bad knees, but still, this would have been a matchup that I would have paid to see. I really want to see this fight. Either way, next up, we've got Dricus du Plessis, 2023 Dricus, current Dricus du Plessis versus 2016 Yoel Romero. And this is because this would have been an absolute dogfight, man. This would have been a dogfight, because if anyone's got heart in the UFC, it's Dricus du Plessis. He doesn't want to quit. And Yoel Romero, again, it's kind of hard to put Yoel Romero out of there. He's very, very tough. They both hit very, very hard as well. Obviously, we just saw Dricus du Plessis finish Robert Whittaker. Before that, finished Jarek Brunson. Before that, he finished Darren Till. So I know he didn't finish Darren Till by strikes, but still, Dricus hits hard, one of the hardest hitters at middleweight. And obviously, Yoel Romero, I don't even have to talk about why he hits hard. A knee from Yoel Romero is sending you to the Shadow Realm, one of the hardest hitters in middleweight history. And they're both just very tough. I really wanted to see this matchup. I genuinely think it'd just be like if it was a 5-round fight, I think it'd probably be like a 5-round bloodbath. Same if it's a 3-round fight, it'd be an absolute war. Dricus would be going for it, Romero would be going for it. Oh, this would have been sick, man. 2016 Romero, when he was in his proper prime, versus current Dricus du Plessis. I would have loved to see this. It would have been an absolute war. It would have been, in my opinion, one of the best fights in the middleweight division history. They're both very similar in the sense that they might not have the greatest technique. They can both wrestle though, and they both hit hard. They both got a lot of heart. So I would have loved to see this fight between Dricus and Romero in 2016 Romero versus 2023 Dricus, and that's just one fight I really want to see. Next up, we have 2023 Kevin Holland versus 2019 Masvidal. I feel like Holland recently has been on an absolute roll. He had a fairly close fight with Wonderboy, but I'm not going to shame him for that, because then he came back, knocked out Santiago Ponzinibbio, and just submitted Michael Chiesa in the first round. I think Kevin Holland's in a great spot in his career, to be honest with you. I think he's in a really good career spot. And I'm going to go 2019 Masvidal, because that was his prime. If 2019 didn't exist, Masvidal would not be a star. In this year, he knocked out Ben Askren to get the fastest knockout in UFC history. He absolutely starched Darren Till in his hometown. And then he went out there and battered Nate Diaz for, I think it was, 3-4 rounds before the doctor stopped it. So I think 2019, well, I don't even think, I know that 2019 Masvidal was the best Masvidal there was. He hasn't won a fight since then. And I would have loved to see these two match up. We almost saw this matchup. I think if Masvidal wouldn't have retired at UFC 287, I think we actually would have seen this matchup after, because they were already building a fight. They're already beefing each other. This would be a huge fight. This could genuinely be like a pay-per-view main event, non-title fight when it happened, because Masvidal is a huge star. Kevin Holland's a huge star, especially when Masvidal was at the peak of his career. So I'm going to go 2019 Masvidal versus current Holland. They both hit very hard as well. Masvidal had finished all of his opponents. He massacred Nate Diaz, obviously KO'd Darren Till, KO'd Ben Askren, hit pretty hard. And obviously Kevin Holland has some pretty decent power for welterweight. Both high-level strikers as well. I don't think there'd be any grappling in this, because Masvidal's never the type to grapple. We already saw Kevin Holland against Wonderboy that he's probably not going to be willing to grapple. So I'm going to go, yeah, this would have been a high-level striking matchup. I genuinely don't know who would have won. But yeah, it would have been a striking masterclass. I probably edged towards 2019 Masvidal purely because, bro, Masvidal was unstoppable. You put Masvidal against Pavlovich in 2019... Pavlovich ain't winning that fight. You put Masvidal against John Jones in 2019, only loss of John Jones' career. So 2019 Masvidal was unstoppable, but 2023 Kevin Holland is insane. And finally, I'm going to go with 2023 Sean O'Malley versus 2016 Garbrandt. They already beefed. I don't know what press conference it was, but they already had a little bit of beef going on at a press conference. And I know if this would have been 2016 Garbrandt in his peak, after he was coming off a couple knockouts, and especially that absolute matrix performance against Dominic Cruz, if we're taking that Garbrandt and facing him against current O'Malley, who's so slick, just knocked out Aljo. Before that, had a fairly close fight with Peter Yan that shouldn't have been close. Peter should have won that fight, in the sense that Peter should have battered him, but that just wasn't the case. And before that, he had a pretty nice, well, it wasn't a nice fight at all. He had a fight with Pedro Munoz. But nah, current O'Malley versus 2016 Garbrandt, I would have seen this so much. It will build a fight. It would be extremely high level, the best of the best at bantamweight. Both got good power as well. Garbrandt can hit hard. It's only a shame that his chin can't really take hits either. But listen, in 2016, I don't think Garbrandt had taken too much punishment on the chin at this point, so I think his chin wouldn't have been as bad. But they're both very slick strikers as well. And this time, obviously, I don't even need to talk about Garbrandt. That fight that he had with Dominic Cruz was insane. People say that Garbrandt, the Garbrandt that fought Dominic Cruz would beat any bantamweight ever. And it's hard to argue, man, but 2023 O'Malley, equally as slick. No one's really beaten O'Malley. He keeps beating people that he shouldn't be beating, so I want to see this matchup for the bantamweight belt. The build-up would be insane, and the fight, most importantly, would be insane. They'd both be taunting each other during the fight, so that's one fight I really want to see at bantamweight. But that is my list of UFC fantasy matchups from different eras. Again, let me know if I missed anyone out, but yeah, thanks for watching.